So here is the fridge. It is working. We got some damage that we didn't notice when we received it. Got that dent there, that dent there, and this is cracked. It was laying on its face when we got it, so we weren't sure of the damage. It wasn't major. We didn't spot it till later, so we're still going to get in touch with them. Anyway, this is a lot better situation than we had. So this is 100% off grid right now. So take you upstairs. I did snake my wires down from the attic. Now you can't even see it. I brought them down along my vent pipe for my plumbing, and I picked up a ground to the electric system underneath the dishwasher because I didn't have all my plumbing's now PEX, so I didn't really have a good ground at all. Everything's plastic, so I just grounded it to the dishwasher. So as the quest to get off grid continues, we are now having the refrigeration off grid. Now here's where my wires came in. Just remember yesterday I poked holes through that ridge vent, and you can kind of see it just runs along my whole ridge, so I can just poke through that really anywhere I want and silicone back, and it's good. So here's the 24 volt plus from the panels comes into my inverter here, my 24 to 12 volt reducing inverter. I don't know what you call it. So anyway, that's my number 12 wires coming in, and then I got number 8 running out of the inverter. Alright. Here we go. I don't know if I can get this light to stay put. So see over by the vent stack, nice light falling for me. Right here, see those wires running down along the vent stack. Coming out of the controller here, that's the load wires going down to the fridge here. Positive and negative load. Positive and negative to the battery, positive, negative to the solar panels. So these two right here come out and run up to the inverter, or whatever you want to call it. So now this is 12 volt going down into the panel. The battery bank is set up as 12 volts, and the fridge only takes 12 volts, so you have to make sure that it's all the same. I had to rob this controller from another place because the one that I had would not work, so I changed them out. This one's working. So I did have the one battery bank hooked up all night that I had previously shown you, and it ran down to 5 volts last night. So it became obvious that I'm probably going to need more battery, at least until it gets built up, cools all the stuff in there. May not always need 2 batteries, but it sat empty, so it ran down the battery and it quit working last night. So for now, this other battery was just laying around, so I put it together. You can see one battery, all the 3.2s wired together. Then you have the negative and the positive. That's the negative, that's the positive, and then another exact battery bank. So right here is a bus bar hooking my 2 positives together. That will just up the amp, but it doesn't change the voltage. So this lug here runs to that lug there. That's how I'm hooking my negatives. And then the negative comes out of there and runs into the controller. So now I have a 12-volt battery bank, and it's running at 402 amp hours. So that should be plenty for that fridge. I think it uses more than I anticipated. It's because it's a little bit bigger than the standard, what you might look up. But the panel is charging, you can see from the charge controller here. The batteries, they're not full, as you can see, because I really ran the one bank down. But we'll see if they push up. It's a really cloudy day, so we're not going to have, we'll see. We're just going to see how it goes. So if you have any questions, this is how I got my refrigerator working, 12-volt DC refrigerator working. It's a decent sized RV. It's 11.7 cubic feet. It's an RV fridge, but we're using it as our house fridge. And it's completely off grid at this point. These batteries are the way I got them. I never have charged them, so I just started using them as is. Hopefully we'll get enough sun to do something. But they do charge with the cloudy day. They just don't charge the way they could. So this is my off-grid DC powered fridge. Let me know if you have any questions. That's going to tell you the fridge cost me $900 with shipping. And these batteries, that was $700. I got them from China. I got it was like $690, and I got what you're looking at. I got 8 cells, 8 3.2 cells at 2.02 amp hours each. 202 amp hours times 3.2. This could also be a 24-volt bank if this right here was, if we flipped the battery around and wired this bus bar to that negative and then took the positive off the other end, or the negative or whatever, you could wire this pretty easily to be a 24-volt system at 202 amp hours. Or you can have it a 12-volt system at 404 amp hours. So, blah, blah, blah. And I do have another charge controller, an actual maximum power point tracking, where I could get rid of this inverter and just run only the charge controller. And interestingly, I have also bought something that's like this, but it's not as fancy. It is a 24 to 12 volt reducer like that, and it's good up to 30 amps, and it was like 15 bucks. I bought it on the river. So I could wire that thing in. It would look a little different, but it's a lot more. This is like $70. I mean, I paid like 30 for it when I bought it years back, 30 or 40, but they're worth twice that now. So anyway, that is just so I can run the cheap charge controller, to be clear. I can't just wire this stuff up directly because my panel's too big. I'm just using the one I had. So I don't know what else to tell you on this, other than we'll just see if it keeps working. I'm getting ready to go out and start on a different system, so I will show you that. But we have it up and running. We have a refrigerator. So I'm out here in the future bathroom, off-grid bathroom. For now, it's a place where I put this deep freezer. I'm getting 28.8 volts coming from the solar panels to my 24-volt battery bank. These are, let's see if I can find the tag on them here. There we are. 224 amp hours at 6 volts times 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 batteries. So that will equal 24 volts at 224 amp hours. So this battery bank is actually bigger than the one up in the attic. The one up in the attic was 2 202 amp hours, 24. It would, if I wired them all together in series, I would have had 24 volts at 202. So this battery bank is slightly bigger, but I don't think you could get this battery bank for 700. You have 4 batteries here. You'd have to get each battery for like 175, I think, 175, 350, 700. You'd have to be able to buy this 224 amp hour 6-volt battery for the 175. Maybe you can. I don't know. Maybe you can't. At any rate, it's very comparable in size to that other one. Now this is the charge controller that was not working as far as the load side. I think it takes the solar and puts it into the batteries just fine, but you try to get the load to work and the ground is bad or something, it won't work. So anyway, I can't hook my freezer to that, but I think I can hook my freezer directly to these batteries because it has its own control system on it. Now, I did want to mention I will probably get some grief for the way I'm doing things. Yes, it's cheaper to invert. It's cheaper to use AC appliances. You can save some money. Even though AC appliances have gotten more expensive, closing the gap with DC, just because of the supply chain and so forth. Go up to Lowe's and try to buy a refrigerator if you see what, or Home Depot or wherever, and see what I'm talking about. So that gap is closing, considering I bought that one for 900 bucks, almost 12 cubic feet. Not a bad size for the price in the RV world. But there's a reason I'm trying to stick with 12-volt appliances. I am trying to get myself away from actually needing inverters, even though I did just use one up there. I explained all that, but the point is I bought the 12 to 24 volt inverter. I bought a backup part for like 15 bucks. You don't want to invert, but that's likely to last. Your inverter, man, you can wake up and it'll just not working one day. One little lightning strike, one little surge, whatever. Some people have really good luck and their inverters last 15 years, and some people, they don't last 15 days. It's just kind of a hit or miss as far as I can tell. I could be wrong. I've never really bought an expensive inverter, and I'm trying to get away from that. And a pure sine inverter, man, that's a lot of money. But again, so are DC appliances. It's just how you want to spend your money. And also, we're trying to get away from AC altogether because of the health concerns. It's actually not good for you. You can look it up, you can research it, or you can just say that it's crazy and whatever. AC electricity is actually bad for you, much less the smart stuff they're doing to it with the pulses, with the smart meters, and that's dirty electricity. It's nasty. So I think DC is just better to have around you as far as health-wise. So we're trying to get all the AC out of our life and to switch everything over to DC. That's one thing. And the other thing, I'm trying not to rely on big inverters to try to run my life. I'm trying to just go, if you have DC appliances, you can always just use a battery. Even if your solar fails, and maybe you can use wind, maybe you can use hydro, maybe you can just jump it off another battery somewhere, or you can go find some car batteries. I think with DC you have more options if you're truly off-grid. If you cannot get the AC power at all, whether by choice or not, I just think DC appliances are going to give you more of a range. More likely to be off-grid permanently. So, yes, it's cheaper to invert. It's cheaper to get AC appliances. Get your inverter, get your batteries, get your, and just do that. That's not what I'm trying to do. DC appliances are expensive. So, here's a way to save a little money on your breakers. If you end up needing breakers on your solar system, you go get the the Square D QO series. Do not get anything that says HOM. Just get the QO series. It has the back that looks like this. It's different than the other ones. These are more expensive, and it's not as common as that HOM series, HOM series. But this is what you want. You can check the website. It is DC rated. All this stuff will work for AC or DC. So I got this 6-space 100 amp service for like 50 bucks about at Lowe's. Flip it over. So you can get them online, you can get them at your box store. This is what I'm using. 6 slots is more than enough because right now all I need is a 20 amp breaker for my, or 15 actually. Yeah, 15. I didn't want 20, I wanted 15. Because 15 is enough for this, and 15 is enough for my pressure pump. So this is 2 slots, and now I'll have protection for my devices from the bigger battery bank when I get one. So I'm going to just wire this right into the load box, and then I'm going to jump right off the breaker and go right to my appliances. I have to dig my, as I've told you, we got to get that wire ends. These are from the, this is the end of my wire. I got to get that wire into the building. So it's only 10 or 12 feet more of wire. So, and I do have the right kind of direct bury PV wire. It's not the right color, but it's the right gauge. So I'll use that. And when I get, then I'll be able to actually free up a working charge controller when I do that as well. Anyway, and that's 24 volts, and I think, what's the, oh, hold on, I'll tell you. All right, there it is right on the top. See what it says, Joe. So 208 amp hours, or 108. So these two together, 24 volts at 108 amp hours. That's not that much of and I don't know if, I don't know how to get all this wired into that other battery bank without dragging it down. You're supposed to match things up. I guess I could do 24 volt, 108 amp hours, and I could connect it over there to that other one, which would be 24 volts at whatever that was, 220. So I would have 300 and something amp hours. If I just wired the bank, wired this parallel to that series. So I just take this parallel and that parallel, put them together. I don't know if it's going to drag one down or the other. I'm not sure how all that works. But I'll learn. I'll let you know when I figure that out. I think you're supposed to have all the batteries have similar amp hours when you hook them all together. I don't know. At any rate, I'll add this to that battery bank and then run all that into the breaker box, and then hopefully I'll be running my deep freeze and my pressure pump with no issues. So I'm learning as I go. I will let you know. I've just never had big battery banks. This will be the biggest battery bank I've ever hooked. And I actually have 2 more of those batteries. So 24 volts. So I wire them, if I jump one, like, so the way it is wired now to 24 volts, it's 108 amp hours at 24 volts. And this was 224, so whatever I just said, 224, 324, sorry about the camera work, 324 plus 8, 332 amp hours, 24 volts at 332 amp hours when it's all said and done today. So all that confusion being said, I gotta insulate these batteries because these batteries are not gel batteries. These are flooded. These will freeze. So I have to make sure to insulate these. And I also have 2 more batteries that are just like this, and I want to wire those in, but I got to get them equal to 24 volts or it doesn't do any good. So I'm not sure how to get all of this to add up with those 2 extra batteries. Maybe I can't. I would think I'd have to have 2 more of these to make it all work. So I'll let you know when I get figured out and how my battery bank works, and I'll show you some video of it And I am going to insulate this so when we do get the really cold snap, I don't freeze my batteries and lose them. So the goal is to try to get this bad boy working today. Biggest DC freezer on the market. And I will keep in touch. So I took 3 screws off of this thing and I ran this wire out. Looks like it's probably number 8 PV wire. Doesn't say, maybe it does. Well, I'll let you know what it says. So I took the 3 screws out and I just popped that out through the slot. I'm going to put my screws back in, and I mean, I guess I'm ready to wire this baby up. This will need to go to the box. And I know, excuse me, it's dusty. I noticed in here that I have my back of my walk-in cooler there, so I've got some insulation already in place, so I don't have to insulate the back. So I'm just going to put my battery in the corner there, battery bank in the corner, and insulate it right there, so that saves me a little work. So anyway, I'm going to put this back together and start on that load box. I just wanted to show you what I'm working with. So anyway, I thought I'd mention, when I bought this thing, they told me I had to have batteries for it. Now I look on the website and it says you can run it without batteries. It says you can just run it with solar panels. So I don't know what to think. But I'm going to go ahead and hook it up to a battery bank and all that. If I don't need batteries, that's a game changer, because that's what I'm trying to get away from batteries. Batteries are the weak link in my system. Besides, the charge controller is super cheap. You can buy them. I'll keep stocked up on them. If I blow one, I got extras. I'll keep plenty in stock. That's not like losing a $1,000, $2,000 inverter or whatever. You can blow this $12 charge controllers for the next 10 years and be okay, if you have enough stock. So those are the weak link, but I have more. That leaves my weak link being the batteries. Well, how likely are you to lose a battery if you don't freeze it or overheat it or crosswire it or something? Batteries seem to be a lot more reliable than inverters. So really the weak part of my system is the batteries. And if you can get by without batteries, that's what I want all along. That's why my water system is the way it is. No batteries. Except, yeah, I have to use batteries for the pressure, but I can get water without the pressure pump. The solar pump is battery free. If you can understand this, some people don't. My battery is that 3,000 gallon tank over there. That's my battery. It stores my energy. The pump runs until it's full, and that is the highest point in the land. So I do have just atmospheric pressure pushing water into my house, even though it's not very fast. But if I'm just drinking and cooking with it, I just turn it on and let it fill my container, and that's fine. I'm not going to be taking a shower with it, but you can get your water and it will come. But for now, I have a 24-volt pump, and now we just live our life like normal and just have regular pressure all the time. We can't even tell the difference between having the AC pump and the DC pump. It's just, with all of what we did, the point is no batteries are really required. And I could probably run that pump without batteries. I could probably run it on sunny days. It probably could be done. So batteries, not having batteries is not going to shut my water down. And I'm saying that to say, if I can have this thing running without batteries, so much better. Yeah, you go with that, you have a lot of ice blocks in the bottom and you don't have power for a few days. Well, you're storing your energy as ice. That would be ideal for me, and I'm going to figure out if that works. So I will let you know. I'm going to get this box installed. I do want to show you on this QO stuff, you have to buy a grounding bar. And it will say right on the box, purchase separately, circuit breakers, ground bar kit, PK7 GTA. PK7 GTA. QO. So I have that, and I have my circuit breakers, which I've already snapped in there. I'm just going to hook up 3 and knock them out on the box cover, and we'll just see. Now I got to get this ground bar in. Since I'm running my wires into the bottom left, I went ahead and put my ground bar there so I wouldn't have to take my wires so far to get them to work. So here's your, this will be my, I won't even use that. Anyway, I'll have to do a little bit of weird stuff with the DC. But anyway, this ground bar, I was going to say you can put it in any of the 4 positions, any quadrant you want. Top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right, anywhere you want. That's where I put mine. Here we are, we're pulling a little short piece of conduit. So go ahead and turn it on. Should have it by now. Go ahead and shut it off. It's probably been there for a long time. We just kept going and going. Go ahead and pull it. You can put the vacuum out. Oh, there you go. Okay. So here's the other end of our plastic. So that's an easy way to snake something. Tape to the string, into the conduit.